I'm super excited about this one because this is one that I loved to do so much when I was in elementary school, and that's make invisible ink. But that might not be the one that you're thinking of. I know there's a classic one with lemon juice and you put heat on it. Today, because we're all at home, because we're trying to avoid going to the store as much as possible, we're going to do 3 different ways to create invisible ink, and each one of them is just using some really simple household products that you might have in your cabinets, in the back of your closets. So I want to get started, and first I want to talk about what you're going to need to make invisible ink. Again, these are 3 different ways. So the first way, baking soda and a little bit of water. I've got a little cup of water right here. And you'll need some grape juice. I have grape juice. Grape juice concentrate works better, and we'll talk about why in just a second. But I have grape juice, so that's what I'm going to use today. The second way, you'll need baking soda again and a little bit of water, but this time you'll need rubbing alcohol. This is isopropyl alcohol, and turmeric. It's just the regular spiced turmeric. This one's from Trader Joe's. Nothing special about it. It's just a regular spice and a very tasty spice to cook with. And then, of course, the third way, I know you're thinking about it, this is what you classically think of when you think of invisible ink, and that's lemon juice. You got a lemon, and then some source of heat, whether it's a lamp, or I hate to say match because you can easily catch a piece of paper on fire that way. And also, we've got some Q-tips. And parents definitely want to help out with this assignment. We've got lots of different materials that we're working with and lots of different potential ways to make messes and messes that can stain. So this is definitely, parents want to keep a close eye on the kids and help them out when they do this one. So let's talk about what's going to happen, because this is an acid-base reaction. I've got some acids here and I've got some bases, and when we combine them, they make chemical reactions. When you think of chemical reactions, you think of explosions, big things happening, but chemical reactions can be very tiny, and that's what we're going to do. So I've already written out some of these messages on pieces of paper so that we don't have to wait for them to dry, but I'll walk you through the first part of the process. So we're going to start with the grape juice one first, the grape juice way of making invisible ink. I also have a paintbrush here too. So we're going to take a little bit of baking soda. I got a few clumps in my baking soda. And I'm going to put some, I'm just going to sprinkle some in my water. It's equal parts baking soda and water. You don't have to measure it out to be exact, just eyeball it. Mix it up a little bit so that it's not, just so it's not translucent anymore. It's not water. Got that nice baking soda water mix. And you're going to take a Q-tip. Get a piece of paper here. And you are just going to take a piece of paper, anything you have around the house, dip that Q-tip in that baking soda and water, and write your message, draw, write, anything you want to do. That's why this is so much fun for the kids. And you're going to wait for this to dry completely. And remember what you put on each piece of paper, because I struggled with that this morning. All right, so we're going to put that to the side. And I'm going to take one that I did earlier. This is just the baking soda and water. And I'm going to take my paintbrush. And I am going to paint. You see, not much, you can't really see. You can kind of see my message because it's still a little bit wet. But we're going to paint over this, and it's going to reveal my secret message. And voila, CVS 46. And I've got all sorts of different messages on each one of these cards. But what's happening here is that the baking soda is a base, and your grape juice is a weak acid, and when they combine, they make that chemical reaction, and it makes your lettering and your base appear on the piece of paper. So really cool. I know that's backwards to you guys, but CVS 46, so that's our first message. So that's the first way you can make invisible ink. The second way is you're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to take your baking soda, and you're going to take your water, and you're going to write your message on a piece of paper. Whatever you want it to be, you can write your name, you can draw flowers, you can draw hearts, anything you want to draw on there. And that's what makes this so fun about this, because nobody knows what your message is until you reveal it. So I'm going to take the same paintbrush, but I'm going to wipe this off a little bit. And again, I wrote some of these messages earlier so they'd be a little bit drier and easier to do right away. So I've got another message right here. But this time, instead of using the grape juice, we are going to use a different acid, and that is rubbing alcohol. I know this is a little bit difficult to find right now, but this is 70% isopropyl alcohol, just rubbing alcohol. And I'm going to, that was something in that cup. I'm gonna put just a little bit of alcohol in a cup, and I suggest mixing this one in something that either is not white or something that you can throw away, because the turmeric tends to stain things. And that's why parents, you want to help your kids with this one, because this is the one that can potentially make a really, really big mess. I'm just going to sprinkle some turmeric in here. All right. And this one is slightly different than the other one because you have your base, you have your baking soda and your water that you've put on here. That's your base. But we want to react it with an acid. And so we have our acid. That's our alcohol. Now this one takes it a step further because turmeric is what we call an indicator. And when it reacts with a base, we are actually going to see this change colors. So not only is this invisible ink, but it's also color changing. So again, turmeric, it's an indicator. It reacts in the presence of a base. And we've got our base on this piece of paper. So I'm going to paint over this. Yeah, also use a paintbrush that you don't mind throwing away either, because this is going to stain your paintbrush. This one's a nice long message, so it's going to take me a second to paint over. But it's a good message. And voila! Science is cool. And you can see the difference between this one, because where we wrote with the baking soda, not only did it get revealed, but it turned red. And that's because we have that indicator, that turmeric, that reacts in the presence of the base, your baking soda, and it causes it to change colors. And this one is my favorite one, despite the fact that it makes such a big mess. This one is my favorite one because I think it's really cool. It's really easy to see the invisible ink, and you get that really nice acid-base reaction. And it's very simple. It's kind of messy, but it's really cool. And the final one, I'm not going to demonstrate this one because it takes some patience and it takes some trial and error. But this is probably the classic one that you're thinking about when you think of invisible ink. I know I learned this one when I was younger. Is you take a lemon and you just squeeze straight lemon juice. And again, lemon is an acid. So this is your acid. You would write a message on a piece of paper just using the lemon juice. No baking soda, no water in this one, just using the lemon juice. And so you'd write your message. Now this one, because this is a different type of invisible ink, we are actually going to use heat on this one. And when you add heat, it breaks down those chemicals on the paper in the lemon juice, and it causes carbon to break free. When you add that heat, the carbon does what's called oxidizing, and it turns brown. And so I did this a little bit earlier on this one. I actually used a match to make this come to light. And if you use a match, if you use a lighter, do it over the sink just in case your piece of paper catches fire. So that's the oxidation that happens when, oop, it's so bright today. I don't know if I can get that to focus. There we go. I just drew a smiley face. And that same process that's happening with this, when the carbon breaks loose and we start to see it turn brown, that's the same thing that happens when your bananas turn brown, your fruit. So it's the same kind of process there. It's really cool. So that's 3 different ways that you can make invisible ink. Again, this one is my favorite with the turmeric and the isopropyl alcohol, the rubbing alcohol, and a little bit of water and baking soda. There's a smiley face for you guys. And you can just do this endlessly. If you want to do it outside, it's a beautiful day. You can actually go do this outside and it's less chance that you're going to make a really big mess. If you do get this on your fingers, the turmeric, it's going to stain your fingers yellow for a little bit. So keep that in mind too if you have gloves that you can wear or if you just want to be really careful. But yeah, there's a heart for you guys. All right, so that's how to make invisible ink. We're going to have all of this online, cbs46.com, World of Science. So thank you so much for joining us for our third day of World of Science. Tim, my producer, he's in my ear. Do we have any questions or comments or concerns on our feeds, Tim? Yeah. Oh, well, as he said, there's a lot of people saying thank you for doing this. Absolutely, this is my pleasure. I had to learn a lot of science in school in order to become a meteorologist, so I love sharing that. I think that science is really, really cool, and I want everyone to think that science is really, really cool. So it is our pleasure to do this, and it is certainly my honor to join you every Monday and every Wednesday for World of Science. And speaking of this Wednesday, I have a really, really fun experiment in store, and it has to do with Easter eggs, and we're going to do some fun things with Peeps too, because of course Easter is this upcoming weekend. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to tease that just a little bit. Might involve an explosion too, a real explosion this time. So make sure you join us for World of Science on Wednesday. Until then, I hope you guys have a very happy and healthy and safe Monday. And make sure you join Jennifer Valdez, Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez, at 1:15 for World of Weather. Have a great Monday, y'all.